So we're going to combine what we've learned about geometric proofs with what we've learned about triangle congruence, and we're going to take some specific triangles and prove that they're congruent. I'm going to do 3 examples in this video. The first one, you see here from page 23 in your notes, we always start off with the given information. So, right here. So, my first statement, DH is congruent to HG. And my second statement, EH is congruent to HF. Reason for both of those is given. All right. Then I can say that these 2 angles are congruent. So that's angle DHE is congruent to angle GHF. The reason for that is they are vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. Okay, and so now I have, let's see, I have a side, I have an angle, and I have a side, matching the side, angle, side on the other side. So I can say triangle, I have to make sure I do things in the right order here. If I say DHE, I have to think about what's congruent to what when I make my congruent statement. So triangle DHE, oh wait, I'm sorry, I need to make it match what it says up here at the top. So I'm going to make it match right here. If I say triangle DEH, so I have to know that D goes with G, since they're on the opposite sides of corresponding sides of the triangles from point H. I'll accept that. Those do match up. So triangle G, and then F, and the last point is H. And I can do that by SAS. Second example. Again, we're going to start with the given. Thankfully, we have a little bit more space to write this time. So, JK is proportional to HG. That's given. And JH is congruent. Did I say proportional? I meant congruent. JK is congruent to HG, and JH is congruent to GK. Those are both given right here. Okay. We know we want to end up with the proof, so we want to say HGK is congruent to KJH. We just have to figure out how to get there. All right, so we have 2 sides, which is very useful. We have a side here corresponding to JK, and we have a side down here corresponding to HJ. We don't have any information about angles, so our best bet is to use SSS. Let's see if we can figure out how to do that. That's side, side, side. This line right here is a side that's joining the 2 triangles together. It's shared by both of them. We can say it is congruent to itself. So I can say HK is congruent to HK, which seems really silly, but it gets us exactly what we need. It gets us that third side of the triangle. And the reason we can do that is what's called the reflexive property, that everything is equal to itself. Okay, so by the reflexive property, we can say that side is equal, and then we can say that the two triangles are congruent. Let's make sure that the angles matched up. We've got H with K. We've got G with J. So G is the angle between the single hash mark and the double hash mark, and so is J. So that looks correct to me. Okay, last example, number 3. Always start with what we're given. So I am given that QM is congruent to ML. That's this line right here is congruent to that line. And I'm given the angle Q and angle L are right angles. That's an and sign. Okay, those are both given. Notice they don't actually say that angle Q and angle L are congruent to each other, but we can say that. We can say angle Q is congruent to angle L because all right angles are congruent. They're all 90 degrees. The measure of all of them is 90 degrees, therefore they're all congruent to each other. So we now have an angle and a side. So we just need one more piece of information, a side or an angle, to put this all together. The last piece we're going to use then is these two angles right here by M. So I can say angle NMQ is congruent to angle PML. Why can I say that? Well, they're directly across from each other in the intersection. They are called vertical angles. And vertical angles are congruent. We proved that the other day. All right, so that gives us another angle. And now look, we have ASA, angle, side, angle. So I'm going to put my proof statement down, and then I'm going to check to make sure that everything matches up properly. Triangle NQM is congruent to triangle PLM. So M matches up with M. That's as it should be. The right angle is Q. That matches up with L. Okay, so everything is in the right order, and we're good.